Today, I believe Professor Tariq will be talking about, he'll be exploring concepts of ethics and business. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Tariq Ramdan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you for your invitation here, and I know it has been a long conference, and we are reaching the end now, and I was asked to say something about the relationship between ethics and business, and how we need to think about it, not only from an Islamic perspective, even though we are here in a world Islamic economic conference. I think it's important to understand that from our viewpoint, ethics, it's about everything, and it's beyond only where our affiliation to a specific religion. And this is where I think as entrepreneurs and people who are working within economy and within finance, we need to think about our contribution in that field with others. And this is why it's quite important to learn. It was important to study what is said. The point is, at the beginning, is to ask ourselves, because this connection between business and ethics, it's becoming a fashion now. So we use, values and principles, and it's as if some have understood the point, and they are making money out of ethics now, and say we are very ethical. And it's becoming a fashion. The more you are ethical, the more you can get money. So in fact, it's a vicious circle. And this is why we have to be very strict. As much as values can be used to show how much we can make money, it's important to come to the principles and not to be formalistic about this. Because what we see now is something which is a mindset, a distortion in the way we deal with our values. In one way, we have people coming from the religious background, and it's very much the case among the Muslims and the Muslim majority countries, and even in your field, as people who are dealing with economy and finance and profits, is sometimes to use some Islamic labeling and terms and references, and in fact it's very formalistic. It's just for the sake of saying, oh, it's not against Islam. Look, we have a wide range of Islamic concepts, and it's no riba, is zakat, is halal. We like it. We like the word halal. We're ready to put halal everywhere. It's halal fast food, halal market, halal. And you know that this is a problem. It's the way we deal with our reference. And on the other side, as we are seeing people around the world, in the West now, dealing with what is essential when it comes to the principles and the ethical environment, all this, we see people on the other side who are using this, as I said, to make money out of this new fashion about, ecology, environment. People very often who, when they were in power, they did nothing about it. And when they left power, they started saying, oh, it's a good business. And I think that this is where now we have to reconcile the words with the meanings and power with empowerment and commitment to some of the values. And this is why we have to be self-critical and to get with an approach which is important. And by connecting business and ethics, we ask a very simple question, but it's an essential question for every one of you when you are starting and when you are involved in businesses or in economy or in finance, is what does it mean to be successful? What is the meaning of being successful? And what is the meaning of not being successful? Is it only about profit, or is it about something else? And the very essence of ethics is to say you are successful when you are consistent with some values that you are cherishing. So it's not to have this kind of dichotomy and, schizophrenia, very, very pious when you pray, and very much less human and believers when you deal with money. So some are pious when they deal with God, and without God when they deal with human beings, because it's all about money. So this reconciliation it's something which is important when it comes to this. And when we speak about ethics, and this is something which is important, even if you come back to Arabic, for example, we don't have a clear word about ethics. Very often we translate this into al-akhlaq, and al-akhlaq is much more about good character, behavior. It's not really on values. It's not really about what is meant in the Greek tradition and the Western tradition, but ethics. Still, what is important is to understand that when we speak about ethics in a universal way, and even when you come back to our traditions, religious traditions, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, agnostic traditions, Buddhist traditions, because there is a lot in all these traditions. In fact, it's based on two things. We are talking about some values that are indisputable, that we want to be faithful to, that we want to implement, and about some objectives that we want to reach. So it's about values that we want to respect, objectives that we want to reach. This is the meaning of ethics. And Islamic applied ethics, Christian applied ethics, or Buddhist applied ethics, or Jewish applied ethics is all about this. What are the principles that we are cherishing, and what are the objectives that we want to reach from our business? And by saying this, it's something that is crossing the board. And this is where, if the Muslims were more confident with their values, they would see that they are sharing so many values with so many people, and that they can have alliances based on ethics and not only on profit. Very often people, they want to do the same as the Western companies, and in fact, they are missing the point of studying what is done by some people who are very successful in economic and financial terms, but they are very concerned in ethical terms. And this is where we need to be much more connected to people. Now, the point is that when we speak about ethics, very often the people think that because you think about values, it means that you will do less, or you will have less in the business. And it's as if any time, and this is a mindset which is a problem. You know, when we deal with ethics from a religious viewpoint, a philosophical viewpoint, and we come to this area of economics or businesses, the perception is the more ethics you have, the less creativity you should have. That's completely wrong. In fact, it's the opposite. It's the other way around. If you are serious about ethics, this is where you have to explore, to be creative, to open channels where you think about new ways of dealing with it. If you only are interested by money, of course, you just go for money and you forget values. Whoever you are, I'm going to use you for the sake of money. We are not talking about this. Ethics is about, I want to be successful. I am not going to forget about profit, but I want to be respectful. Successful and respectful at the same time. So this is something which it's very often discussed is you deal with ethics, it means that you are coming with a halal-haram mindset. Halal-haram is licit, illicit, lawful, unlawful, and you are preventing the people from working in the name of principles. And I think it's wrong. It's you know, for example, the understanding about arts and imagination, it's because we are ethical, you cannot express yourself. We end up neglecting arts because we have ethics in arts. We end up not being creative in business because we have ethics in business. That's the wrong way of putting it. We need to reconcile ethics and creativity, ethics and expression. Express yourself, use your imagination. By elevating people, not doing anything for the sake of profits, but be creative. So we need also to have something which is to be much more confident with our values and to be creative in every field, not only when it comes to prohibition. We tend to understand ethics as a framework of prohibitions, not of direction. And when you are coming with this mindset, you present your reference as a dead-end road. That's over. You cannot do anything. In fact, it's not to direct the people towards a dead-end road. It's to direct towards new considerations, new understanding, and a kind of positive, creative way of dealing with our ethics in contemporary times. And it means by this that you cannot just repeat what was said by the scholars in the beginning of the 7th century or the Middle Ages, say this is Islam. Yes, this is the way as scholars they were dealing with their time. How are you dealing with your time now? How are you dealing with your time as a Christian? How are you dealing with your time as a Jew? How are you dealing with your time as a human being respecting values? Because you can't sit down here in this room and say it's all politics and the politicians are corrupt. The point is that if in the economic sector we don't have people who are caring about values, ethics, human respect, we are going to destroy the world because you are the driving force. People are saying today the secular way of dealing with things is we differentiate between politics and religion. Why? Because we don't want religion to impose into politics. That's fine. You can differentiate. The point is that we don't want to divorce politics from ethics. We want ethics in politics. But it's exactly the same. No. I have a special fatwa. It's not to clap. It's just when you are happy with what I'm saying, just think about it altogether. Because the point is exactly the same when it comes to the sit. And we see this. I'm coming from the West. I was born and raised in the West. I went back to Egypt to get my Islamic teachings and the ijazat in Islamic sciences. But when I came back and I speak with people, what we are experiencing in the West is very worrying. Is in fact, yes, there is a divorce between state and religion, but in fact, what we have now, instead of having religion or dogmatic minds imposing onto the state, which we don't want dogmatic minds to impose into the state a religious framework. We want people advising and coming with ethical inspiration. But what is now taking the place of religion is economics. It's our states are following dogmatically what is coming from the economic sector. So today, we have people, we never voted for them, and they are now taking over. Technocrats are taking over in Italy, in Greece, in Spain, and they are dealing with the state. So we call it democracy. It's democracy under the power of economic transnational corporations and logic. So if we deal with this, it's quite important for us to have people coming from the economic sectors and the financial sector and businesses coming with ethics. So we also need ethics in economy. Not only this perception that let us call it Islamic and be as successful as them. Them are the non-Muslims. And I think that this mindset is just a catastrophe. We need something new, we need to be creative, and we will find that so many people, even in the West, are coming with new ideas and creativity that we have to study much more than that. So what is, for example, something which at the beginning of whatever you are doing in business, when you connect it with ethics, it's critical. It's in fact, you know, when I was asking about the objectives of this World Summit, for example, its conference, it was to connect people, to have for the first time something which is connecting people from around the world. And I think that this is so important. It's important. Now we have to be cautious. It's not only to connect people to know how much they are successful and to connect people as to the way they work, but it's to create a comprehensive approach. Comprehensive approach is much more than connecting people, is to create a vision. And to create a vision is, in which way, for example, when you deal with economics, you are connecting the objects of what you are doing. By saying what, for example? Whatever you are doing in your field, connecting and coming with a comprehensive approach is always to care about people. And I heard that one of the P that you had is people. To care about people, it's important. But whatever you are doing, if you are serious about the contemporary challenges that we are facing, you have to care about nature. You have to care about culture. You cannot just sit down and be exposed to world culture, which is another name to westernization, and not to care about culture. What is your business in Malaysia? Is it to promote the way we eat, the way we drink in the powerful countries, or is it to nurture culture here, the local dimension of an indigenous, confident culture? That's a very important point. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's just to put Islamic to the thing or Christian to the thing. It's not going to make it. We need to have a vision where culture is connected to nature, is connected to human beings. It's even to be connected to behavior. It's, for example, today, if you are a business, and you want to promote ethics within the business, the first question I would ask you, what is in your profit that you are giving to people? In your profit, there is something which is the right for the poor people. Are you working on solidarity? If you tell me that you are successful and you just come with how much money you make every year, I will say there is something missing in your success, which has to do with solidarity. In your business, part of your ethics should be solidarity. And solidarity is not to think about, oh, I am generous, I'm giving. No, this is the right of the poor people wherever you are. So at the local level, no, think about it. Do it, don't clap, do it. Just do it. So it's at the local level, is your business, how much it is connected to the people around you, to care about, promoting environment, the way you respect nature. It's not only as Muslims to quote the hadith or the Prophet ﷺ. We are very good at quoting Quran. Very good at quoting a hadith. Much less to implement them in contemporary terms, which means how is your understanding? So this connection between culture and not to promote, I'm sorry, I wouldn't be happy. I'm dealing with the halal business, and I know that your country, I have been in touch with so many people, and they were very surprised. I'm, of course, saying, be careful, there is something that is called halal meat. But the way I deal with halal meat is not, tell me the way you slaughter the animals, and I'm happy. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, halal. That's not it. It's the way you nurture the animal. It's the way you treat the animals before we are slaughtering them. And then more than that, what I'm saying to all the Muslims, you know that we are the more meat eaters today in the world. As Muslims, you might have to think about eating meat, less meat now. And this is halal. It's not because it's permissible that you have to do it. So this is something which is so important, is the way we deal with nature, is to think about some of the principles that we have. So a comprehensive approach based on very active networking. So how you can get experiences from others, and a comprehensive approach is getting all this. So there is nothing which can be dealt with, for example, from our ethical viewpoint. And I learned this when I was in South America. I went to South America and I see Christians doing things that were much better than Muslims. And in fact, my idea is to take some Muslims and say, learn. Learn. And they would say, they are Christians. They would say that. They say, al-hikmatu dallatul Muslim, isn't it? You quote now the hadith, because the people, if you tell them, learn, say, what are you talking about? So you are westernized. Say, look, the Prophet ﷺ said that the wisdom is the lost property of the Muslim. So the lost property is فَهُوَ أَوْلَ بِهَا أَيْنَمَا وَجَدَهَا. You want to take from it wherever you find it. So if you find Christians doing much better than you, you better learn. You better learn what they are doing. But the Muslims today, they think that they just quote some verses, quote some behaviors coming from the Muslims, and they don't learn from non-Muslims. They don't learn from people from other faiths. And some people of other faiths, and sometimes without faith, are doing much better in ethical terms than we are. In Muslim majority countries or within the Muslim communities in the West. So what I am saying here is this comprehensive approach is very important when it comes to the business. It's to connect everything and to care about all these dimensions. You respect the people you are dealing with. You respect nature that you are working in. You are showing solidarity to the poor people wherever you are. And wherever you are, if there are people around you while you are running your business and making money, and you don't take from the money to give to the people who are around you, you are not ethical in the way it has to be understood from an Islamic viewpoint, for example. تُؤْخَذْ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ لِفُقَرَائِهِمْ. Zakat has to be taken from the rich people here and given to the poor people here. So first you have a local mandate, a local responsibility. Are you doing this or not? And I can tell you it changed the mindset. It changed the mindset when you care about the people around you. So, and then the local culture. It's also something which is quite important, as I said. Now, when it comes to this and understanding this, the success and the meaning of success is these two things that are it's to be faithful to your principles, faithful to your objectives, and at the same time, you make money. There is nothing wrong with making profit. It depends how. It depends how you are doing this. So there is nothing in Islam, for example, in our tradition, the best among you is the poorest. No, we don't have this. It's the more honest. The God consciousness for us is important. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. This is something which is essential. It has to do with piety. It has to do with human concern. It has to do with the way you deal with God and the way you deal with human beings. And sometimes this is something which is more visible through the way the people are dealing with their fellow human beings and nature. Now, when it comes to management in the business, and I heard things that were very important. Once again, it's very ethical and something then where you are running business, and this is where you need to contribute in the way we deal with our world today. There is something that we can learn from the West today and the very successful way of dealing with business. In fact, is to be clear as to the rules and to be strict with the rules of your business. And it's not because, you know, some people say we are brothers and sisters, so it's as if because we are brothers and sisters, the rules are flexible. Who told you this? So it has to be, and you know, in the Arab world, and even in the Asian world, the relationship we have with time is not exactly this one. So people in the West are saying time is money. And some people are saying, I'm repeating, time is money. It's true that time is money. In fact, time is more than that. From a religious viewpoint, time is life. Is life. It's the way you deal with your life. So when you have the way we are strict with our prayers, for example, it's very important for us. Why? Because if you miss your prayer, you missed it. The time was there. This mentality that we have to be strict with our rules and clear with our rules is something which is the starting point of being ethical. If you are flexible, you will end up treating people in a different way. Rules are strict, and this is the way we have to deal with it. I remember one of the shuyukh, he was in India, and he was starting the seminars at 9 o'clock in the morning. You come at 9:15, you go back home. That's over for you. This is the way we have to educate people in our religions, but this is the way we have to educate people in business. It's a serious matter. We are not playing here. So there are rules, and we respect them. And then we go on from here, talking also about something which has to do with equality within, and I mean it. I mean it, and I think that I meant too many, and I visited too many businesses where people they talk about equality, but the rules are not equal for all the people who are working. And I mean this by saying also that, once again, you get equality in a business. It's important for the manager, it's important for the people, the leader, but it's also important for the employees within. And never to stop talking about it, because, you know, justice and equality is not coming only from a top-down strategy. It's a bottom-up resistance. So you will get what you deserve if at the end you accept everything. And for example, I keep on repeating to women, and especially Muslim women in Muslim-majority countries, stop sitting down and complaining about the fact that you are discriminated. Now it's time to stand up and to say, I have rights. And to understand your religion and to come also with this, with your religion, and say, in the name of my religion, what you are doing is discriminatory. And in the name of the business, equality means equal opportunities. And this is something that has to be set as a principle in the business. And we have to be serious about this. Ask yourself, how much equality are you enforcing within your business, and opportunities for men and women? And men and women also means that, for example, you know, I was the other day in Morocco, and you have some Muslims in Morocco, they don't want women with headscarves to be visible and say, okay, you can work with me, but not with the headscarf. I say, I can understand, even though I don't agree, that someone in France are saying this because of the pressure. And I would say it's wrong, it's discriminatory, and we have to fight. But to come to Muslim-majority countries where we have this imposition of the Western standard and say a headscarf is not good to be seen outside, I would say don't accept this. As much as, you know, the way I dress is not saying the equality I have. It's as the people today are saying about the Arab awakening and all these uprisings in Egypt and in Tunisia. You have in the West people saying, you know what, be careful. There are more and more headscarves in the streets. It's as if we are going backward. And my answer to this is, you know what? The real empowerment of women is not the way they dress. Is how much education they have and job market opportunities they have. This is equality. And so don't come to us to lecture us about, empowerment. By the way, we still have in the West women who, for the same skills, are getting 30% less than men. This is unacceptable by all standards. As people of justice, we should say, no. Same skills, same salary. By the way, are you implementing this? Are you in your businesses implementing something which is same skills, same salary, and respecting for women the same rights? This is something which has to do with our ethics and the way we deal with it. So justice is also one of the principles and one of the objectives that we should have. And there is something which was said here which is so important. It's very important to be successful and strict with the rules. But remember something, when it comes to your teachers that you had when you were young, if you think about the best teacher you had, how were they with you? There is something which is a very special chemistry between two things. Very strict with the rules and caring with the heart. They were having this strict as to knowledge, open with the heart. And what I heard right now is, if you want to be successful in your business, and this is ethical, learn to listen to your employees, the people who are working with you. Care about them. Care about the humanity in them. You should be successful, but I should be listening. I care about you. And you care about the personal life, they care about the so you should allocate time. The best medical doctor is the one who is very, very good in what she or he is doing, but at the same time, he understands or she understands that it's also about listening, about psychological dimension. So this kind of, being successful without listening, without being human, this is something which is completely wrong. So if you come to all the messengers, all the philosophers, with God or without God, if you listen to what they were always having a vision, but caring about the people. Come, I listen. I listen to who you are because I care about who you are. I want my business to be successful, but I want you to be happy. This is why it's important in Islam also, as much as you find it in the old tradition, well-being. Well-being in the business is something which is important, and you have to care about this. This is ethics. So this is something that we have to contribute, and not only by having, like you have in Japan now, sometimes is just to have, to stretching 15 minutes, you just go and beat something, and then you come back and you will be, and this is it. This is not the spiritual way we are dealing with. So the way we rest, the way we care about the people, it's something, once again, which is something which important. And two things that I wanted to add as the ethical dimension, which is in fact not new, but from our ethical perspective, being a Muslim or not, and this should be also a contribution coming from the Muslims also, it's to deal with all these dimensions, and there are two things which is important. We keep on repeating in Islam, for example, that education is important. In fact, what Islam came with was said by the Christians, the Jews, and all the traditions. You are not going to be a human being if you are not educated. And educated is the right of your mind. Your minds have rights on you. What you do to get more knowledge and to get this sense of curiosity. When you are dealing with a business, this is a way which is so important. Is to let the people get more knowledge and to get value. To educate is to give value to someone. So a business where you are not learning, where there is no room for getting more knowledge, this continuous training, which is important, is not a business that is going to be successful on the long run. So to give value, education, it's important. Never forget, this is what I'm saying to my students everywhere in Oxford. I'm saying, you are students, I'm still a student. I'm teaching, and as Aristotle put it a long time ago, to teach is to learn twice. Because you end up coming back to all and you rethink everything every time you teach. So it's important in the business to value education. And education and curiosity. Show curiosity towards all these things that are around you, which are so important. And this is a way you speak about empowerment. To be more educated is to be empowered. And to be empowered is something that we have. So this is something that from an Islamic viewpoint, we have to push and to push more, not to come. Islamic ethics is about less. No, it's about more in a new way, to push in that direction. And also something which is important is, as I said, these kind of opportunities. You know, when you come to the religious traditions, where the religious traditions or the philosophical traditions were very successful. In fact, it's not only in the name of someone, it's in the name of someone who got something and he was able to transmit this to people who were followers. So transmission and to give mandate and leadership. So in your business, it's very important to give mandate to people to do things, to have a space to express themselves. So the leadership, it's important. And this is something that we have to promote, is in which way I'm giving you the opportunity to be creative, to do things on your own, to get and to become a leader. Very often in our organizations, very often people are elected and they stay there, they took the position and they never leave the position for years. So we criticize the dictators, but at the local level, we are very much doing exactly the same by just keeping the position. So this kind of, within the business, it's important because this is the dynamism that it's important with the young people that we have, and it's important to do this. The last thing that I wanted to say about the business is be careful with what your production. What are the products that you are giving to people? Because ethics in business is not only about the way you deal with your people, the way you deal with this. All this is important. This is what I said right now. But all the products that you are promoting, it's important. Because at the end of the day, an ethical attitude is never to promote consumerism without soul, without understanding, without meaning. It's not eat more, buy more. It's something which is important. So this is what I said with meat, but it's also in everything that we are doing, the product is very important. So I'm very tough with fast food, for example, and I know that some Muslims are not happy with this, but I have a very ethical concern with fast food because for me, an ethical fast food is a contradiction in terms. Because to eat fast is not very ethical. No, I'm serious about this. I'm serious about this because eating fast is not just the time you give to eat, it's a culture you have in your life. It's just eat. Eat to do what? Just to be able to start working again. It's not about being well, it's about working more in a way which is just feed your employees and you have just 30 minutes to eat. And I think that this is something which is a problem in the way we deal with ethics in businesses. Having said that now, I would say 3 points, and I would end with this, that I just want to highlight when it comes to what we have to do and what are the challenges now that we are facing. There is something which, as I said, in the business, and if we want to contribute, my main concern is not just to put some, as you understand, qualification as Islamic or religious or Christian and then to do as good as the other. Is to try to find another way of producing, thinking, and being creative. And this is where I think that we have to work and we have priorities. So I don't have time to go through all the priorities that we have, but at least there are things that are quite important today in the way we deal with this comprehensive approach. The first is, as I said, within our society, in pluralistic society, in economic and financial terms, when we deal with businesses, is to say, first, there is something which is important in the way we deal with our people. And as I said, justice and equality means men and women should have the same opportunity. And I think that this is, and all the people who are saying from an Islamic viewpoint that's not right, I'm ready to challenge them on that. That the first woman who was supporting the Prophet ﷺ, she employed him. He worked for her. And then she protected him when he was first attacked. And this relationship has to be studied in a way which is not the way we deal with it. It doesn't mean, be careful, it doesn't mean that we are some people, when I'm saying this, say, oh, you are promoting women, be careful. What about the family? It's as if when we speak about family, we speak about women, and what about the man? The problem of the Muslim families today is not about women. It's mainly about men. Where are the fathers? Where are the people who are caring? So talk about family when you talk about women, and talk about business when you talk about men. So you have to revise this. Okay? Go like this, and you will destroy your family, and you're not going to be successful in business. So here, this attitude towards equality is something which we have to deal with in equal opportunity. There is another thing which is important in our society. I came in Malaysia very often. I am traveling around the world, and I can tell you something that I can see in pluralistic societies, but also in businesses, and we have to be serious about this. We live in the West, and we are saying people are very discriminatory towards us. If you go in some countries, you can go in the Netherlands, in Britain, in the States today, in France, and your name is Abdullah, or your name is a foreign name, you will not get the job. Not always. There is a discrimination based on names and origins. We know this. This is, this is the reality. Now you come to Malaysia. A Muslim majority country is 60% or almost 60%. And you listen to Chinese, who are very strong in economics, and they are quite powerful in this. But you listen also to people who are not Muslims, and you deal with them and say, okay, we have problem with some Muslims in the way they deal with us, because there are discriminations as well. And I think that this is why we have to be self-critical. Ethics in business means no racism. I'm not going to take you because you are Muslim. I'm going to take you because you are competent. 3 qualities are important. Competence, first, for us, is integrity, competence, and efficiency. So now you are a Muslim, welcome. But, some of the Muslims, they say, oh, he didn't take me because I am Muslim. And you look at his CV and say, no, he didn't take you because you are incompetent. I'm sorry, it's not your job. So this transforming everything into the victim mentality doesn't work. But on the other side, if we want to come with something which is based on ethical principles, we don't discriminate in the name of religions, or in the name of colors, or in the name of origins, or in the name of gender. So no racism and no discrimination. This is the way we have to deal with. And not to say they are doing the same there, we are going to be the same here. I think that this is not acceptable. Now, the other thing which I said at the beginning, which is also important, please, just when you are dealing with business, think about the products that you are offering and act and resist consumerism. Consumerism is a philosophy of life, and we are not promoting this. Ethics mean eat and live to buy what is necessary, not to buy more, not to be an economic animal that you are following all the new products. And this is your responsibility. Your responsibility is not to transform your clients into consumerists or with a consumerist attitude, and this is something which is not the right way of dealing. So you are also responsible of what you are producing. Last point that I wanted to make, coming to my conclusion, is I was very happy when I came here, because what I saw, it's also pushing towards arts and women. It's understanding that women are very important in this field, and it's true. And at the same time, also dealing with arts and creativity. And I think that in anything that has to do with business, and as I said at the beginning, to be creative, I think that ethics is not against creativity. Ethics is push the people to be creative in another way. And for example, arts for us, when people are saying music is haram, everything is haram, so don't be creative, that's not the way we are Muslims. We are Muslims by understanding that we want creativity, but with, dignity. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We gave dignity to human beings. And what is dignity in arts? It's not to express yourself. It's to express yourself in a way where you are elevating, the standards of humanity, of creativity, of imagination. And this is something that I would say any business should have 2 legs. Beyond the profits in the field, one is to promote solidarity, and second is to promote artistic and creativity. creativity and solidarity as two dimensions of who you are in the business. And it means to think about and to take this seriously. By the way, one of the most important business now is entertainment and arts and culture. This is critical because we are shaping behaviors and pushing behaviors. This is important to get. And I think that in this, we also have to ask, what is ethics in arts? You know, in Islam, once again, we have everything is Islamic now. And as I said, you have Islamic arts, Islamic music. For some, it's not possible. So Islamic song without music, but with lyrics. You know, all these combinations that we have. And I think that in this, we need young people and leaders to be much more, and businessmen and women to be much more involved in this and to create something and to push towards this. And as I said, I would like to see much more businesses celebrating local cultures. Local cultures and local behaviors are important. Now, this is where I think I was asked to talk. This is where I think this could be our contribution for now and for the future. And our contribution should be the comprehensive approach, dealing with business in a strict way, but having ethical principles within, in the way we deal with our partners, the way we deal with our employees, the way we deal with our leadership. So this is something which is within, the way we deal with the local environment, and the way we are thinking about the product, about art, about entertainment, about culture. This is a comprehensive approach of what should be ethical, and this should be our contribution. We started, for example, now a center where we are trying to deal with this in Islamic legislation and ethics. I left some leaflets, and we want, for example, entrepreneurs and people who are working to be involved with us, because what we want now is practitioners to come with ideas and creativity, not only to ask the scholars for fatwa, for example, from an Islamic viewpoint, but practitioners coming from some suggestions, ideas about how we can be dealing with the business and having something which is promoting cultures, promoting arts from our perspective. So I would say that this is where every one of us should feel that she or he has something to give. It's not only for the transnational corporations. It starts at the local level. It starts with every one of us, the way we are ethical in our behavior, the way we are ethical in our work, the way we show solidarity, the way we care about nature, the way we care about poor people, the way we care about women, the way we care about the world. This is something which is the starting point of everything. So we can just set your business and say, oh, it's ethical. At the end of the day, it will have the impact that values have on you, on a personal notice, in a personal way. So I would say that let us think about this, think about the way we can improve our situation at the individual level within our business, and wherever we are, to learn from others and to be creative for others. So creativity is central. It means that the reconciliation which is needed is between our values and the creative mind, and not imitating what is done in the West or what was done in the past, which is the Muslim disease today. It's either I imitate the past or I imitate the West. I would say just be faithful to your principles, creative, no need for imitation, but a very dire need for creativity. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Professor Tariq for reminding us of the universality of ethics in Islam. We are actually running out of time, so I think we will only allow maybe a couple of questions from the floor, please. Wow. There's a lot. We can't take all. The lady over there.
Thank you very much, Professor Tariq, for this very interesting lecture about the right image of Islam. I am Professor Asfour from Egypt. I am talking as an Egyptian Muslim woman who are now experiencing what you are not talking about by the name of Islam. You said that we cannot use Islamic labeling to use business and make money. But how about people using Islamic label to have power and discrimination. You talk about democracy. If some groups say to the voters, you don't vote for us, you go to hell, this is not democracy. Or if there is no gender equality, you talk about gender equality, and I give lectures about economic empowerment of women in Islam. You said about Sayyida Khadija radiallahu anha, about Sayyida Nafisa, who is the jewel of science, about Sayyida Rufaida al-Aslami, who was the first doctor in Islam and was teaching in the Umayyads Mosque. Now, if by the name of Islam they want us to go to home and no education, they want to lower the age of marriage till 9 years old, and they are using the Islamic labeling for that. You talk about discrimination. How about discriminating about other citizens, Egyptian citizens who are Christians, and even about other Muslims? How do you think that Islam is promoting economic empowerment or empowering the people of Egypt if Islam is used as a tool for oppressing people and not economic growth and not empowering people and not gender equality and not education? Thank you.
We take more than
we have a short time, so if you could...
I think the best is you take 3 or 4 questions and I get through.
We can only allow 1 question at the moment. That's no more. You would have to catch Professor Tariq when he's done. So
it's 1 question.
One question for now, and everyone has to ask you later. Thank you.
Okay. This question, if I want to answer this question thoroughly, it would be another lecture, just to make them scared. But look, what we have now in Muslim-majority countries, you are talking about Egypt, is, and it always has been the case, we have trends that are using religion to get power, and some using religion to stay in power or to sideline Islam from the public sphere. I think that anyone who is telling you, if you don't vote for me, you go to hell, you can say, I'm not going to vote for you if you say this, because I'm quite sure not going to paradise. Because it's not the way. You cannot use this. Your understanding of Islam in the way you deal with it is not right. So I would say here that we have to be critical to anyone who is trying to instrumentalize Islam, and at the same time also to be critical to all this distortion about our understanding of Islam. For example, the starting point of this discussion for me would be not to respond to these people, but to come back to the principles that we are relying on. So, for example, to say in Egypt, it should be based on equal rights and equal citizenship. So the Coptic, as much as the Muslims, should have the same rights. And you go for this. They are citizens of the same country. Now, when it comes to women, for example, to say that today you are advocating the fact that at 9-year-old, and this was a discussion that we had in so many other countries, you can go for this. This is not respecting the rights of women. This is just to legally accept arranged marriages or forced marriages. It's not the reality of being free and leaving letting the women be free as to decide if they want or not. So I think that it's a question of principle that we have to come with, and then to be critical towards all this kind of new instrumentalization of religion, and also something which is very dangerous that we are facing today in Muslim-majority countries as much as here, is religious populism. Religious Islamic populism are some trends that are using Islam and working on emotions. And for example, targeting the Christians just to know that they will be backed by Muslims. And they are not working on principles, they are working on emotional attraction. That's not the way we deal with our religion. Our religion is based on principles, it's not based on attracting emotions and rejecting people. And I think that any discourse that is based on this should be criticized, and we should stand against it. So it's a very deep discussion that we have today in Egypt. It's very unsettled. The situation is very difficult. It's in fact, in all the Middle East, it's very difficult. And I would say in Malaysia, it's difficult. Elections are coming. It's difficult. But I think that here they decided to speak about economics and to avoid politics. Which, by the way, I keep on repeating this. Anyone who is telling you avoid politics is making some politics, as you know. Okay,
that's the end of the answer. Thank you very much to Professor Tariq Ramadan, and you know you can catch him later on. We apologize that we don't have the time now for the Q&A to continue as we now move on into the final session immediately of the WIEF. We're going to, I think, put up some chairs and...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the final session of this conference. And let's give ourselves a big round of applause for being here. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.